What's going on, everybody? Ronnie DiMaggio here, product specialist at BMW of Morristown. And in today's video, we are doing a walk around and overview with this 2023 BMW 330e xDrive. So the 330e is the plug-in hybrid version of the 3 Series. So it still does have a gas powertrain. It uses a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, as well as an electric motor with about a 12 kilowatt hour battery. So we already did a video on the M340 of the LCI, the 2023 3 Series. So if you want to check that video out, we'll link it right up here in this little info card. So go watch that video if you want an overview of the M340 and maybe the LCI 3 Series in general. But in this one, we're going to focus on the 330e and its hybrid components specifically. So we're also going to talk about the styling, the interior space, and things like that. But we're going to really focus on some of the hybrid stuff. So let's go ahead and start out under the hood, because with a hybrid, the powertrain is really going to be the biggest difference between this car and a regular 330i. So the 330e still uses a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder. It's called the B48. And so the 330e develops 288 horsepower compared to the 330i's 255 horsepower. So you might think the electric motor just adds that extra 30 or so horsepower, but according to BMW, the gas engine actually only makes about 180 horsepower in the 330e, and then the electric motor is supposed to make about 107 horsepower. So not quite what the numbers would suggest. It's a little bit different there. 310 combined pound-feet of torque total output for the gas and electric motor combined. So you do get some extra grunt under the hood, power and torque-wise. 288 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good. You can also see that the engine cover is unique. You have eDrive up there on the top, and all of those orange cables are all part of the plug-in hybrid system. So definitely a unique powertrain for the 330e. Over 70 miles per gallon, MPGe, I should say. So pretty good efficiency rating, and you can drive up to 20 miles on pure electric driving and up to 87 miles per hour with the 330e. So if you have a short commute, you drive in a lot of urban areas, that's what the 330e is really good for. You also have the eDrive zone option on the interior, which we'll talk about, which can help with urban areas and stuff. So pretty good electric performance out of the 330e for what is only a plug-in hybrid, not a full electric car. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the styling. We can start up front where we have the LCI 3 Series styling. And what that means is the headlights are redesigned, the bumpers redesigned, lots of changes for the LCI. You have the kind of inverted BMW running light for the LCI. This one is equipped with M Sport. That's why you see these really nice sort of fang-like air intakes on either side. Nice big mesh grille down in the bottom, and then the traditional BMW kidney grille up here. So really good looking car. I really like the LCI of the 3 Series. I think they did a great job with it. 330e looks really nice as well. No drastic changes for the hybrid. The one thing that is unique to the hybrid styling wise is this blue outline around the BMW roundel. You'll see that on the hood and trunk roundels, as well as the center caps of the wheels. Speaking of the wheels, why don't we come around to the side? We can take a look at these ones. These are a 19-inch split 5-spoke wheel in bicolor. So 225, 40, 19 up in the front, and then it is actually a stagger, so you have a 255, 35, 19 in the back. Nice looking wheel, again, with our blue like BMW i signature surround on that center cap of the roundel. And in this area on the front quarter panel is where we see a big difference for the hybrid model, because that is your charging port. Obviously you would not have a charging port on a gas powered car, but this is where you can plug the 330e in to charge. You can use level 1 or 2 home charging solutions, which is really nice and convenient. Charges really quickly in about 4 or so hours with level 2 at home. So pretty easy to charge, plug it in overnight, and you're good to go. So that is the one main thing about the exterior that is specific, obviously, to the 330e, is that it has that charging port on the driver's side front quarter panel. Otherwise, everything on the side here is pretty familiar, what you would get in a 330i, except for those center caps, of course. But that's a good thing. I think it's good that BMW keeps the hybrid cars looking very, very similar to the regular cars, because you want those hybrid benefits, but you don't necessarily want some of these styling things that have been associated with hybrid or electric cars traditionally. So good looking, classic looking BMW, just like the X5 45e. It just looks like an X5. 330e just looks like a 330i, which is a good thing in my book. As far as the rear end, again, we're seeing the M Sport package stuff coming into play here with the black diffuser that runs much higher up on the bumper. That is specific to M Sport cars. If you have a non-M Sport car, the diffuser won't come up nearly as high there. But overall, a good looking car in the back. That's true of all LCI 3 Series models. And of course, we have the BMW I signature blue around the roundel, and then the unique E rather than I affixed to the 330 badge right there. So that is going to do it for our discussion of the outside of the 330e. Let's go ahead and hop inside. We'll take a look at the trunk and the back seat really quick, and then we'll hop up front and go over some of the components that are specific to driving the hybrid model, the electric drive modes, the hybrid drive modes, battery hold, features, and things like that. So let's take a look in the trunk first. All right, so around back of the 330e, it is important to take a look in the trunk because it is a little bit different than a 330i or an M340i, any other gas-powered 3 Series model, because as you can see, the trunk floor in the back here is, say, 3.5, maybe 4 inches higher than the standard trunk floor height in a normal 330i. That is to accommodate the electric components, so I'm not sure if they have to move the fuel tank to this area or if that's just where they keep the batteries. But either way, the trunk floor has to be altered a little bit in order to accommodate the electric drivetrain components. Now, the thing that BMW did that I think is really nice is they made this lower, what would normally be like the cover for the lower storage area. You can actually lift that up and lock it into place to give yourself a totally flat trunk load floor. So it is higher than usual, but it is at least completely flat, so you're not stuck with having like a little ramp in your trunk there, which would be a little bit of a pain to have all the time. But overall, it is a sacrifice to trunk space. Don't get me wrong, you are losing a little chunk of trunk space there, but not the end of the world. If you want to maximize trunk space, 330e is probably not for you. You might want to get the 330i or something like an i4, which is all electric, so it doesn't have the trunk space sacrifice. But something to note with the 330e, a little bit of limited trunk space, but it does help having that option to make the load floor flat at least. So we can close that up. Let's now take a hop in the rear seat so we can go over the space back here, and this is the same as a standard 330i or M340. As you can see, this is my driving position in front of me. I'm about 5'9", so sitting behind myself, I have plenty of knee room, plenty of foot room, headroom, not a problem at all. So the back seat is perfectly adequate to fit 3 adults if you need to. You do have a fold down center armrest with cup holders, as well as climate control and USB-Cs in the back here as well. So perfectly usable rear seat in the 330e. But that is going to do it for our talk about the trunk and the back seat. Let's hop up front. We'll go over some of the cockpit items as well as the hybrid specific drivetrain modes. So let's talk about that stuff now. All right, so here we are inside of the 330e, and as you may be able to tell, it's awfully quiet in here because we are currently in our all-electric mode. So I want to talk a little bit about that first. Obviously, there are some big ticket items like iDrive 8 for the LCI 3 Series, but like I said, we've gone over iDrive 8 in a bunch of videos now, which we can link to here if you want to check out. So we're just going to focus on some of the hybrid specific things in the 330e. So let's start by talking about that electric drive mode. If you want to take a look down at the center console area, you'll notice that our drive modes are a little bit different from what you would get in a series gas-powered BMW. So generally you would have Sport, Comfort, and then Eco Pro. In the 330e, you have Sport, Hybrid, and Electric. So if you press that electric mode, you can take a look at the screen now. It says electric power. You can choose between electric and electric individual, and this will only use the electric motor. Now, this gives you about 20 or so miles of range. Right now, we're about halfway, and we're at 11, so 20 miles of pure electric range. with a maximum speed of 87 miles per hour. And you can see our power percentage here is reduced a little bit to, let's say, 60%, it looks like. So you do have reduced speed and reduced power, but you're in all electric mode, which is nice to have if you want it. Now, just like the sport mode, you can configure the electric individual mode, just like how you can configure Eco Pro in a regular gas car. You can configure whether or not you want the Eco Pro seat heating and climate control options to be activated or not. You can just have regular electric mode as well. So that is the electric mode. You also have a hybrid mode. So in hybrid mode, the car will kind of decide whether it wants to use the gas power, the electric power, or a combination of the two. Hybrid mode is the default when you start up the car. It's like comfort mode. So hybrid is the default. You do have full power on tap if you would like, and you have your top speed of 130 miles per hour. So hybrid mode is the default. That's what most 330e owners will be using. I generally recommend using hybrid mode most of the time and then switching into electric mode if you're like in a parking lot or in a urban area where you're not really going fast. If you're in say New York City, for example, where you're not going to be going more than like 30 miles an hour most of the time if you're in the city, and you're not going to be doing any sort of sustained highway driving, lots of stop and go or something like that, electric mode is definitely what you want. Hybrid mode's great for that stuff too, or around town normal driving. The third and final drive mode is sport mode. So if I go ahead and click sport, you'll see that the screen says sport mode and our tachometer and speedometer gauge cluster turns into the sport display setting. So you have a couple of options for sport mode. One, which is unique to the 330e. So the default sport mode is just sport. This is your dynamic setting, and it will prioritize gas engine, and it will give you the most amount of power possible. So it's going to be using the gas engine most of the time, and it's going to be using the electric engine, not so much for efficiency, but for supplementing the gas engine for maximum power. Your second sport option is extra boost. So if you click extra boost, you have the absolute maximum system output between gas and electric motor, and the electric motor is able to give you a little bit of a horsepower boost for up to about 10 seconds if you activate kick down, which is if you floor the gas pedal completely. You will get an extra little boost from the electric motor that you wouldn't get in any other mode. So that's sport mode. You also have the option of sport individual if you would like, so you can customize these things to your liking as well, just like you can in a normal car. So an interesting thing to note, I'm going to pop it back into electric mode here, and you can see that the engine is turned off, and now I'm in full electric mode. So if I put the car in drive and start going, we're not going to turn on the engine or anything like that. However, if I put it in sport mode while we're in drive, it's going to default to extra boost because that's how this car is set up, but that'll automatically turn on the gas engine. It will do that in real time on the road as well. So if you're just driving along in electric mode or something and you decide you want to activate sport mode, you can click the sport button and click sport boost, and the engine will turn on while you're moving, which is a nice feature to have. So that hybrid and gas engine integration is really smooth and seamless and overall well done in the 330e. Now there's one more button that I want to mention that is hybrid specific down if we want to take a look in the center console. This is the battery hold button, which is right here in place of your auto start stop switch in a 330i, for example. So what this button does when you press it, if you want to take a look at the screen here, it says battery hold, battery charge is maintained. If you can get that again. Battery charge is maintained at the current charge status while driving. So what that does is uses the gas engine primarily and will save your battery charge for later in your trip. The benefit of that is if you're doing a highway drive and you know the last couple miles or so of your trip will be in a city area or an urban area, you can use the battery hold feature, so it'll maintain your battery while you're on the highway where you're not really getting a much benefit from the battery. So you can cruise along the highway with the gas engine and keep your battery charged and ready to go when you're in the urban area where the battery is going to be better and much more efficient than the gas engine. So that is a really nice benefit of the hybrid, and that's kind of the way that I recommend using the hybrid. I would just use the gas engine for highway stuff. You could use, hybrid mode if you want to, if that's your preference, but save the all-electric stuff, the all-electric power for around town, like in a town like Morristown. If you're in around the Morristown Square here, you're not going to be going very quickly. You're doing a lot of putting around, stop and go stuff. So that's when electric is really nice, and that's when you really save gas as far as fuel economy goes with your gas engine as well. So that is the battery hold feature. Some other hybrid specific things, if we go into the menu here, you'll see that we have an option for charging. You can set your charge time. So do you want it to charge as soon as you plug it in, or do you want it to charge, say, between 12 and 4 a.m. or something like that if you want to do that? You can set departure plans as well for your charging, and then an AC limit as well. So those are options that you see in the full electric cars as well as the hybrid vehicles. Last thing I want to mention, which I think I mentioned briefly while we were outside, is the eDrive zone option. So the eDrive zone option basically does what I was just describing with the battery hold, saving the electric battery for urban areas. It basically does that for you. So when you get into what BMW calls an eDrive zone, the car can automatically switch into electric only mode. As you see, it says right here, automatically switches to electric in selected urban areas. So you can select those areas and tell the car that you want it to switch into electric mode in those certain areas that you select. So that's another nice feature to help you use the benefits of the hybrid, to maximize the benefits of the hybrid to your advantage, and saving fuel efficiency, saving money on gas, and just having a lower footprint in your 330e. So that is going to do it for our talk about the hybrid stuff. Overall, I'll really quickly run down the interior. It's really nice. It's pretty standard 3 Series stuff. Not much is different from what you would get in a normal 3 Series besides those hybrid specific buttons. iDrive 8 is fantastic. Seats are very comfortable. Steering wheel's great with the M Sport package. Visibility is fantastic. So the interior of the 3 Series is generally just very nice. In all of the models, I gave some more in-depth thoughts on our 3 Series interior with the M340 video. So if you want more in-depth thoughts on the 3 Series LCI interior, go check out that video. But overall, the point is that it's a very nice interior, very nice place to be. High quality materials, comfortable, and high tech, good technology, that kind of stuff. So that's going to do it for the inside of the 330e. Let's hop outside and wrap up. All right, so that is going to do it for this walk around and overview of the 2023 BMW 330e xDrive. So hope you guys enjoyed that video, gave you an idea of what it's like to check out a 330e, some of the benefits of the hybrid system, and some of the considerations you might want to make if you're considering a hybrid, whether or not it's right for you. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you think we deserved it. If you have any questions about the 330e or comments in general about BMW, suggestions for future videos, please drop those down in a comment below as well. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at BMW of Morristown. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.